Korea is often called the Forgotten War. President Harry Truman referred to it as a police action. It was approved by the United Nations and is considered the first armed conflict of the Cold War. After World War II, the Korean peninsula was divided into two zones along the 38th parallel of latitude. The Soviet Union would control the north and the United States the south. After elections in the south established the first government of the Republic of Korea, Communist North Korean troops surged across the border in June of 1950. Lieutenant General Mick Trainor was fresh out of Holy Cross College when he entered the Marine Corps, and he was sent to Quantico, Virginia for training. He was taught by veterans of the early days of the war, characterized by ground battles similar to World War II.
The things that we had learned from these veterans of the first year in the war were useful in a general sense, but in the specific sense, no, because it was a different type of war. It was a war that they did not fight.
Second Lieutenant Trainor arrived in the second year of the war.
It was a lot like World War I. We had trench raids back and forth. They would try to take one of our outposts, we would try to take one of theirs, and it was just a brutal fight of hand grenades, machine guns, artillery and mortar fire, and a lot of casualties. Chinese were here, we were here. This is a DMZ right now, so nobody is out in this area. But this was all very, very mountainous. That was in the winter of 51, 52. Of course, brand new, very nervous, but I had a marvelous platoon sergeant who really ran the platoon for about the first couple of weeks until he had gotten his measure of me as to whether I measured up. During that period, you know, I would give instructions or orders and so forth, but all the other NCOs and even the troopers would look at Wagner to see, but is this okay or not? He was clearly in charge of the platoon. The fighting all took place right out here in this area, and they were all isolated outposts. Sometimes they'd be overrun. We'd overrun theirs, they would overrun ours.
Lieutenant Trainor soon earned his spurs. He picked a spot from which to support another platoon's planned attack.
I said, you know, looks pretty good to me, Wagner. How's it look to you? And he didn't even look at me. He just kind of stared off and said, I don't know, Lieutenant, you're the platoon leader. And right then and there, I knew he had passed the command to me. I now had the baton as the real platoon commander of the 2nd Platoon.
Those days weren't so easy. On one patrol,
and that's when I lost my platoon sergeant. He was killed when we were out on a night patrol, and he got 3 burp gun slugs through his belly and killed him. So that was my introduction to war. And this is what war is like. I can't say that it shocked me one way or another.
That patrol taught Trainor not to repeat himself.
It was a convenience to go out on this patrol through the route which I had used before, and the Chinese knew it, and they were waiting for us on the other side and ambushed us, and Wagner and 2 other guys were killed in the process. So if I have one regret and one self-accusation, that would be it, and it's a lesson I learned and never forgot.
And a lesson he took with him during 2 tours in Vietnam. In Korea, Trainor faced both North Korean and Chinese troops.
We knew it was going to be very, very brutal, so I was not overtaken by the events. Look, this is what war is about. I just took it as it came.
Lieutenant General Mick Trainor is now living in Northern Virginia. He retired in 1984. Near the end of his time in the Corps, he decided to write a description of his experiences in Korea for the Marines who came after him.
I wanted to assure them that the experiences that they were about to face or that they were going through were the same, except in particulars, to every generation before them and every generation that will follow them. So what I simply did was put down in a series of articles my experience without saying, here are the lessons to learn. I didn't do that. Here are my experiences when I went out to Korea after having graduated from Quantico and gone out to a war.
Reporting from the Pentagon, I'm Staff Sergeant Dion Moses.